You know, health insurance is expensive, so when I'm not researching my symptoms on WebMD, the only other doctor I can see is Doctor Strange. It's just a shame that the only doctor I can afford to see has fooled us all. This past weekend was the latest release in the ever-expanding MCU. The Multiverse of Madness comes to us Marvel fans fresh off the heels of the last mega blockbuster Marvel film, Morbius. What? You thought I was gonna say Spider-Man No Way Home? No. Morbius is the last Marvel film. I'm just kidding, by the way. I know Morbius isn't a part of the MCU, seeing as Sony owns the movie rights to this D-tier character. I just needed an excuse to say that Morbius sucks. And that's a double entendre, by the way, because, you know, Morbius is a vampire that sucks people up, and just so happens that the film also sucks. Nah, seriously though, F that movie. But I digress. I was excited for the Multiverse of Madness after the events of No Way Home, especially after what we witnessed in the after-credit scenes. Opening things up to the multiverse allows us to get team-ups we always dreamed of on the silver screen. It does also cause continuity issues and scaling problems, but hey, as long as everyone's entertained, what does it matter, right? So that's a new Doctor Strange movie. Well, before you get into that, no, if you haven't seen it, no need to worry about spoilers. I'll give you a warning before we get into those. Now, my overall impression of the film is, it was cool. I didn't walk out of the movie theater thinking this was going to be in my top 5 Marvel movies, but I did leave feeling entertained. It's also hard for me to gauge where I'd rank this film because I need to watch it again, truth be told. I got invited to this private screening alongside a bunch of other influencers, and most of the people that I met were cool, but it just so happens because of my luck that I got seated next to the guy who felt the need to shout things during the movie. I knew this dude was weird because he came into the movie theater with an AC/DC shirt on and his sleeves cut off, and he had some fake pearls on his neck. The first time that he shouted something was during a key plot point, so I can't give you context to his joke without spoiling anything, which I won't, by the way. Needless to say, nobody laughed. You don't need to hear the joke. You could feel the secondhand embarrassment in the room. The girl that he was with even asked him to stop because it was embarrassing her, but he didn't seem to care because he kept doing it. He shouted like 4 or 5 times during the movie. I really wanted to go Super Saiyan on him and tell him to hush up, but you know, you got to keep it professional at these type of events. You know, you don't want to get blackballed. So I did my best to sit back and enjoy the film as best as I could. I think the acting here is on point. Everyone kills the role. I thought the girl who played America Chavez filled the shoes right and is a welcome addition to the MCU. She also did a great job of keeping things lighthearted during the serious times. The special effects were dope across the board, especially during the fight scenes. Magic adds this unique element to the MCU, such as Strange's use of mirrors and other spells. I just love that art style. One thing that I like about this film that's new is the introduction of the horror elements. That is a real bright spot for this movie. Marvel really pushed that PG-13 rating to its limit because it's a couple incidents in this movie that left me wondering. I was like, damn, how did they get away with that? And I mean that in a completely good way. As for the actual plot, I think it could have been better. Don't get me wrong, the dialogue between all the characters is fine. They did their best with the script that they had, but the overarching plot that pushes things forwards could have used more thought, in my opinion. Regardless, this film is still worth seeing. It's a good time, so go check it out if you haven't already. Now, it's hard for me to talk about this movie without going into specific details, so if you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, please hit the like button on your way out because it's time for... Alright, I ain't gonna hold y'all. This film left me with so many questions, but before we get into those, let me explain a little more about my issues with the plot. In this world full of amazing gods, mutants, and metahumans, I refuse to believe that Wanda put the entire multiverse at risk to hang out with her kids from another Earth that don't even know her. The events in WandaVision are much more plausible. Okay, you took a small town nobody cared about as hostage to create this fantasy for yourself with family and all that, but to blow up the whole multiverse to hang out with some kids that don't know you? Come on, son. I felt like they could have gave Wanda some better motivations for the evil things that she was doing. I also didn't like that Marvel's flirting with the idea of the Scarlet Witch being anything other than a villain. Like the kid's storyline was them trying to humanize her. Even the way she went out at the end was them trying to make you feel bad for her, which, by the way, y'all know she ain't dead, right? I predict she gonna have this whole storyline about how she survived that ending. Just stop sitting on the fence and make her a whole villain. Just give her better motivation. So you might be wondering why this video is titled Doctor Strange Fooled Us All. It's because of the way the film was marketed. The trailers are beyond deceiving. Originally, they teased the Illuminati, then days before the film dropped, they straight released clips of Peggy throwing the shield and the Illuminati name being dropped. Now, obviously, it was because Marvel wanted you to check out the best damn gaming podcast on the internet, the Gaming Illuminati, and they wanted you to rate it 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. But just in case they didn't want that, I think you should. Now let's get back to the questions. This whole Illuminati section was lackluster. They tried so hard to make Peggy seem tough as if her shield can do anything to Doctor Strange or anyone else sitting on the Illuminati console for that matter. That shield is not even threatening to the guy whose power is to stretch his penis. Also, when the fight breaks out, why did Wanda have an issue finding Peggy in the smoke? The Scarlet Witch traveled from another universe to start a fight, and you mean to tell me she can't see the big shiny shield through the smoke? Look, I'm all for representation, but let's work on the execution instead of just shoehorning stuff in. Where's Namor? Where's Black Panther? Those are two key Illuminati members. How did Charles get away so quickly in that slow and clunky scooter when the fight broke out? Granted, he did get his neck sliced off when he reappeared, but it was still weird how he quickly just disappeared. I did like when he tried to get into Wanda's mind and pull the real Wanda out of her. It made it seem as if Wanda and the Scarlet Witch were two different people. That was cool because, and I could be reaching, but it felt like a nod to the Dark Phoenix from the X-Men universe with the whole multiple personalities thing. Now, one thing that I do like about this scene is it took a risk. It made you think that the Illuminati were going to be the next big power players in the MCU, and by killing them off almost as soon as you meet them, it plays with your emotions. I like how they killed Black Bolt with that head explosion. I mean, it was a creative way to play on his abilities. That being said, Charles is dead. So who will play Charles when the X-Men are ushered into the MCU? The man who played Reed Richards, he seemed like a great actor too. I was looking forward to seeing more of him in his own Fantastic Four film, but nope, dead. Where's Tony? One of the biggest rumors about this movie was Tom Cruise was to play Superior Iron Man, and that would have been a dope Easter egg considering he was supposed to originally play Iron Man before declining it and it going to Robert Downey Jr. Why have Ultron robots with no Tony? There wasn't even a mention of him. That entire Illuminati scene can open up a can of worms. I left the theater with a bunch of questions, but I also wonder how the general public would receive it. I could see Marvel catching some flack. Some might feel like it's false advertisement. I mean, hell, the Illuminati scene is not the only time they did it in the movie. The trailers hype up the dark Doctor Strange, but that man got washed quickly too. Trailers made it seem like he was gonna play a bigger role. Okay, last question, and then I'm gonna end things on a positive note. And this goes back to the plot. The final fight scene where America opens up the portal so Wanda can see her kids, why not just do that early on in the movie? Would have saved a lot of headaches. I mean, I get she didn't have control of her powers, but that's a simple discussion. They could have trained her and then did that for Wanda. I mean, a kidnapping didn't really seem like it was necessary, especially across the multiverse. I don't know. Maybe y'all can answer these questions for me in the comment section below. What I do know is this film opened up things for some interesting possibilities. Now, I could be reaching, but hear me out. There was a scene where Strange and America were flying through different realities. If you were paying close attention, there was some comic book art style worlds that they passed through. What if in a future film, America has better control of her powers, something happens to Peter Parker, they need a Spider-Man, so she opens up the portal to that cartoon Into the Spider-Verse world and pulls out Miles Morales to save the day. I'm just saying.